Guy Ciarrocchi is our great friend. He ran for Congress, as you know, in this last election cycle. If you're a regular listener to the show, he's the former president, CEO of the Chester County Chamber of Business and Industry. He has been watching the behavior of Governor Shapiro with a hopeful, ebullient optimism that only Guy Ciarrocchi possesses. God love him. Which is why we bring him back for an assessment of what the hell this rope-a-dope, last-minute gimmicky trick Shapiro seems to have pulled on school choice. What to make of it exactly. So, Guy, good morning. Welcome back, my friend.
Good morning, Chris. Can I ask you and your listeners one thing first?
Please.
And that's this. As we should all come together, and if we all have one thought, it's this. Our nation owes former Vice President Dan Quayle an enormous apology.
You know, I am so glad you said that. I just said yesterday to a friend of mine, they made Dan Quayle out to be the village idiot. Like he didn't have, like he'd have a brain because he misspelled potato. And this woman we're supposed to treat as the most profound person we've ever heard in the vice presidency.
So as a public service, I just think as a nation, we just owe the vice president an apology.
I really do wonder, what do you think, of all the people in the world, don't you think Dan Quayle is out there somewhere watching that I don't know what he's thinking. I don't know if does he want a refund? I'm not sure. Anyway, great point, Guy Ciarrocchi. So, listen, I'm glad to have you back. I know you were here while I was away talking with Eddie last week on what appeared to be, and a lot of people felt, and I wondered, headed into my vacation, if it was real, is Josh Shapiro really going to entertain school choice on any level? The teachers' unions went bananas over it. Yeah. And then, lo and behold, yesterday he announces, well, nope, going to veto it. Take it out of there. We've got a little audio, I think, on this, don't we, Fast Eddie? Yeah, take a listen.
Knowing that the two chambers will not reach consensus at this time to enact P.A.S.S, and my being unwilling to hold up our entire budget process over this issue, I announced that I will line item veto the full $100 million appropriation.
Okay, so for people that are just tuning in and aren't aware of what went down, what was originally offered, and now what he's talking about, which you are still optimistic and hopeful is not dead yet, kind of walk us through it, 30,000-foot view. What is this? What are we talking about? Where does it stand?
Okay, here we go. The budget, when we all say the budget is a series of documents, one of which is a listing of hundreds of pages of how the state of Pennsylvania is going to spend over $45 billion of our tax money. In that multi-100-page bill, in that multi-$45 billion document, there is a line item that says item 527B, $100 million for Lifeline, or they now call it P.A.S.S, education scholarships. That was going to be money set aside for children in the worst districts in Pennsylvania that their parents could use to find another school. So $100 million set aside for parents to use to pick another school. A Quaker school, a Catholic school, a Jewish day school, an independent school. So these parents, by and large, are the poorest parents whose kids are in the worst schools. And I'll just add, they're not the worst schools because Chris Stigall said they're the worst, or Guy Ciarrocchi said they're the worst, or Fox News. But the Pennsylvania Department of Education, the bureaucracy, the blob, the institution wholly owned by the teachers union, when that entity says a school district is among the worst, includes places like Philadelphia, Norristown, Reading, those children could be free to find somewhere else. The governor as a candidate says he was for it. The governor as governor-elect said he was for it. The governor as governor said he was for it. The governor went on Fox News, of all places, to tell the world he was for it. And yesterday said he would eliminate it. I'll close with this. In plain English, there's that document, and before he signs it, he can take a pen, line, and take out things he doesn't like. He's indicated take that out because the Democrats and the Republicans. One last thing, if you'll humor me. The problem is he doesn't have a document yet to sign or veto or do anything to.
Right.
It's not there yet. This was a preemptive, I'm going to do this. Why can't he do it? Because the document hasn't been sent to him. Why? Because the Republicans recessed and went home and said, we'll see you in September. We're on break. So we're now at a standstill. The Republicans gave him the bill he wanted that had these scholarships for poor kids in bad schools. He said he's going to veto it. The Republicans went home. So there's still a chance because nobody's in Harrisburg to do anything. What the shame of it is the kids are stuck and the parents are waiting. So we're hoping against hope that there's still a chance for him to do the right thing. If he says he'll sign it properly, the Republicans will come back.
I guess procedurally, I don't understand. This is when I heard him make this announcement, I was like, I guess I don't understand procedure legislatively. You explain it to me like I'm a dummy, because I am, apparently. When he gets something to his desk where he starts vetoing something, that means it's already passed both chambers with the thing he's taking out in it. So how do you make the argument it can't secure the votes for passage if it's in the thing that passed to get to his desk?
He sent a letter or an email. I don't know what they do these days. He posted on his Instagram account. He told the House, pass it, but I promise I'll veto the scholarship part for poor kids. So nudge, nudge, wink, wink, vote for it. So what happened is, if anybody followed the way I do, because I've been into this up to my ears for 6 months, is after the bill passed the House, with his promise to veto it, dozens and dozens and dozens of House Democrats went on Twitter and said, I voted for this, but I only voted for this because the governor told me he's going to veto the scholarships for poor kids. So please don't be mad at me. I voted for this with this yucky thing to help poor kids trapped in bad schools. So that's
okay. So what's okay? Well, so then that means there's something in it that Democrats wanted badly enough. If that's true, there's something in this bill that Republicans agreed to and let Democrats have in exchange for putting this school choice thing in it, and now he's going to screw them and take it out. That's probably another way to look at this.
That would be very accurate. Right. A budget negotiation between people from two different parties is that we will give you this, you will give us that. What unfortunately has happened is after there was a handshake agreement, the governor has indicated he'll take this away. Again, the challenge is he doesn't have a bill to do this to. Yeah. So we're hoping that the parties will get back and discuss it. Look, and as we talk about all this money, let me try and put it in context. $45 billion is the state budget. That's everything. That's roads and highways and state police and education funding and help for seniors and people with disability. Okay, $45 billion, that's a lot of money. I don't know what $45 billion is. It's a lot of money. This is $100 million, which would essentially be given to parents in like $5,000 increments. In the scheme of things, Chris, it's 0.2% of the budget. 0.2% of the budget. So the House Democrats threw a temper tantrum over 0.2% of the budget, knowing they got a bunch of goodies because they don't want this small amount of money to go to parents to rescue their kids. Why? It doesn't affect the budget. It's the principle. They don't want school choice. They don't want parents to be able to choose because they know what? You know what I was asked by reporters in the days and weeks up to this, reporters from around the country and around the state, what are you going to do when the school district, when all these kids go? And I said, why? See, your question is the reason we do it. If you think thousands and thousands and thousands of kids will rush for the door to their neighborhood Catholic school or their neighborhood Quaker school or neighborhood independent, it's the very reason we know we need the bill.
It's
the very reason we know we need it.
It's when they scream and yell that this takes away from public school, it's an admission that the public school model does not hold up to scrutiny. That's exactly right. Let's go back and refresh our memories what old Josh had to say, our distinguished governor, to Dana Perino. What was this, 2 weeks ago on Fox News? Take a listen.
like the biggest news, that we are backsliding in so many different places. I know education is big to you. One of the ways that you're addressing it is providing some school choice vouchers. That's not going over so well with some people in your state. Just show a couple of things here from the Pennsylvania State Education Association president, the Philadelphia Federation of Teachers president, the Education Voters PA executive director, all saying that they are disappointed in you for supporting these school choice vouchers. What would you say to them as to why you think it's important?
Well, let me just say in general, I believe every child of God deserves a shot here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And one of the best ways we can guarantee their success is making sure every child has a quality education. I've been very clear that I'm open to that concept that you described a moment ago, but I've also made crystal clear that I won't take a dollar out of our public schools in order to achieve that. We've got to invest more in our children, not less. And so I want to make sure we give, as I said, every child of God an opportunity to be successful. I think education is key to that. Public safety is key to that. Growing our economy is key to that. All three of those things fit together to give us an opportunity to make sure everyone has a chance to succeed here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
We certainly have to do that. Well, you're going to.
Yeah, so that was 2 weeks ago, Guy Ciarrocchi.
Yeah, again, if you hadn't told your listeners before you played that clip and you said, here's a governor on Fox News saying what he just said, you could have said that could have been Ron DeSantis, that could have been Greg Abbott, that could have been Glenn Youngkin. I mean, he went on national news. And again, this is a very bright, experienced politician. This wasn't a slip of the tongue. He went on national news knowing he was going to be asked the question, and it was his answer. And he repeated the phrase, every child of God deserves the opportunity to succeed. He said it twice, Chris. This wasn't an accident. He said it. All we're asking is for him to honor that. These are the poorest of the poor in the worst schools. The way people can get lifted out of poverty and has the chance is to get a proper education. Let me just add this. She began the segment by talking about the report card on schools. This is a national organization that the U.S. Department of Education uses to rate schools. Under that system, public schools fell during COVID. You and I know that. We talked about that. Urban schools fell even farther. Schools that serve children that are minority, African American, Hispanic American, fell the furthest. So we are talking about kids whose schools are doing worse than they did 2 decades ago. Chris, let me boil it down really plain English. There are high schools in Philadelphia. Then when those children of God were given their assessment tests, you know how many were proficient in math? Zero. And their mothers and fathers are asking, please, for the love of God, let us send our child to a place where they will be safe and learn. That's all this bill does. Give us the chance to send our child somewhere, to let them leave a school where currently not one child given an assessment is doing math at grade level. That's how bad it is. And that's why it matters. And how dare House Democrats stand in the way? How dare suburban Democrats stand in the way in some of the best school districts and wax poetic about the wonders of public education, where they live in communities where kids are going to the best schools and going to the best colleges. And how dare they lecture poor parents in poor neighborhoods, in schools where their kids, where literally not one child is doing math at grade level. That's all this is. This is a chance for those parents to be empowered to rescue those kids. If you have a heart, if you have a mind, you have to be for it. The governor has a chance. The Democrats hold a 1-seat majority in the House. We need one House Democrat. You don't think there's one Democrat that's willing to vote for this? One Democrat from West Philly, one Democrat from North Philly that isn't willing, looking at the poverty and the despair in their neighborhood? I not only believe it, Chris, I know there are. I know there's more than enough votes in the House to pass this. The governor has to tell the House to get this done. The votes are there. Let them do what they want. Don't be beholden to the teachers union. Let them be beholden to their neighbors. The votes are there. There's a slim chance, right, as Billy Crystal said, mostly dead is slightly alive. There's still a chance. And I implore everyone to urge the House to do this, to urge the governor to honor his own word, not to do it for you, not to do it for me. I urge Governor Shapiro to do what Governor Shapiro said on national television 2 weeks ago. There's still a chance to do the right thing. Rescue these kids. Rescue these kids. Give these parents a chance to save their own kids. We can do it for pennies on the dollar. It's the right thing to do.
He's Guy Ciarrocchi, and his passion is obvious for this issue, for these kids, the education choice. And one can only assume that Shapiro has done this hard heel turn because of what? Political threats? I mean, that's all, right? The political cesspool reality is very powerful, moneyed people in the party, the Democrat Party. His base went to him and said, knock it off, and knock it off now or else, and he capitulated. That's the only way to read this, right?
I think he overestimated the pushback. I think he looked at it the way we talked about it, which is 0.2% of a budget where we Democrats get all these other goodies. I think he made a miscalculation and has backpedaled to go back to a safe space. And I think we all need to push back and say, hey, they increased education spending in public schools by one of the largest levels in history. He checked that box. He's doing a whole bunch of other things he wanted to do that the Republicans in the Senate said we'll give you if you rescue these kids. He's run into resistance, and I think his initial inclination is he ran into resistance. He miscalculated how hard the unions would push back, and now we're saying we need him to push back and look them in the eye and say, we're not going to blow this up for 0.2% of the budget. $5,000 a family can change lives. Look, he met resistance. This is where leadership comes from.
Yeah.
Chris, again, he needs to find one House Democrat who will vote yes for this. And again, when Eddie and I were on, we talked about where are those House Democrats that'll do this? Where do they come from? They're the Sherrell Parker Coalition. They're the working class families in North and West and Southwest Philadelphia. They're the people in Kensington. That's where the one vote comes from, because those people aren't interested in speeches. They want their kids rescued. That's where the vote comes from.
I'll just say this right now, and I hate saying what I'm about to say, but I'll say it. The first Democrat that decides to go all in on this and risk political capital to give parents true school choice, that person will never lose an election again. Democrats will never lose another election if they give parents school choice. I'm that deadly serious. I don't think Democrats lose another election if they embrace school choice. Disagree?
Well, no. Look, in Philadelphia, again, you heard the governor say it. The governor gave remarks not very different than I said a year ago. What do we need to do in the poorest communities? We need to give children the opportunity to get an education to succeed. We need the communities to be safe, and we need businesses to thrive. That's how you revive a community. Heck, you and I would say that, right?
Yep.
So yes, if the Democratic Party would offer school choice, proper policing, and create a system where they invite businesses in instead of trying to kick them out, they would do the right thing, and they would be bulletproof, pardon the pun, forever. Of course.
No, I mean, because they'd own the social issues. They would own the women on the abortion thing. The trans thing, like all the social stuff. They have that in their hip pocket. If they just embrace the ability for parents to send their kids to non-rotten schools, they'd win forever. But whatever.